TCG Meta Slayer. Alright guys, in today's video we're going to talk about how to build a competitive Dragon Ball Super card game deck. And that can still cross over to playing fun and thematically and casually because you still want to build a deck that wins, right? So either way, this is good advice. Second of all, this is also another way to look at how every color can be equally balanced. One more thing I want to say is I still wholeheartedly believe that pretty much every color and a vast majority of almost every single deck leader has a great chance of winning not only a big event, but can definitely beat whatever the meta decks are. As long as you practice, you sideboard properly, tune your deck, then again, any deck can basically beat any deck, right? And then of course, when you get to a tournament level, then again, it comes down to player skill, experience, matchup, knowledge, of course, and luck, right? Luck of the draw. So anyways, that being said, let's take a look here at what the four core components are to every powerful competitive deck. But actually, before we do that, let me quickly start by saying the best way to build a deck, first of all, ask yourself these questions. What is this leader doing, mechanically, right? What are their special thematic abilities and powers? How does that leader fit into the color and the strengths of the color that they're playing? And finally, how does their strategy or style work, right? In a way that perhaps you like, or maybe you change it to be a little bit different. So for example, just some questions to think about. Does this leader, or do you want to make the leader play fast and aggressive and win quickly with various tools? Do you want to play a deck that is maybe mid-range, that can be maybe aggressive or defensive in the beginning, or maybe it starts to get stronger towards the later turns? Do you want to build a deck that's mostly all defense till the very end? Do you want to build a deck that is a combination of being defensive and aggressive? So these are the things you have to think about to hone your deck. All right, that being said, these are the four categories of cards that, as long as every color has a good amount of access to these cards, this will prove that every color is basically on equal playing ground. Finally, when these cards are in your deck, once again, your deck will be much more tuned and powerful to win. Okay, first of all, fairly obvious. Boom. Negates. Counterattacks, but not just any negate. You got to always include one of these token negates, which basically allow you to negate an attack and play a blocker token. And you can either pay 2 for them, or you can take a life if you have 5 life or less. So definitely decks need to have a few negates. I don't think there's any deck that can just outright, well, I guess there might be some, but it's very difficult to build a consistent deck that just outright wins with no defense. I mean, it could be possible, but it's definitely not the norm. So for the most part, always have negates and token blockers whenever possible. Secondly, boom, you want to have a card that also is a counterattack that stops multiple cards from attacking and preventing your opponent from unleashing all of their battle cards, or whatever. Sometimes you can slow down their leader, their unison. Violent Raise is a good example. However, this card has since been errated and nerfed. It used to be where you could stop cards with a 20k threshold. So either the battle cards can attack if they have 20k or more power, or the unison cards can attack. So this has since gone up to 30,000. So not as effective, but still an example. And there's a term for this. People float around this term floodgate, which is fine. I prefer just to use, a counterattack and basically prevents multiple cards from attacking. Very simple. And it depends on whether, again, if it says battle cards, maybe, a unison or battle card. But most of these stop multiple battle cards from attacking. So once again, as long as every color and deck has access to this, I'd say very much so use them. Now, next up, we come up with counterplays. Now, what I want to say about the counterplay more specifically is you want to counterplay, in this case, like the Doria, who could possibly help you stop these type of effects that are used by battle cards. Because even though this is an extra card, there are battle cards that can do pretty much the same thing across different, again, as long as all colors have them and archetypes. So let me amend that and say, whether it's extras or battle cards, obviously all colors have them. And, putting them in your deck is a good idea, especially if you're defensive, right? So good ways to counter those sometimes can help out as well. Okay, Dodoria is one example. Dodoria cannot counter this extra card, but there are cards like the yellow cooler card, which can just counter a counter, right? So again, something to think about, especially if you're playing offensive decks or you want to go in for one big final victory attack, then this is something you definitely want to have in your back pocket. Lastly, you want to be able to remove, this is kind of 2-in-1, but you want to be able to remove in one fell swoop multiple battle cards. And so for example, here, let's look at the Phenol Absorbing. It says, when this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, place them underneath your leader cards. That basically takes them all out. And secondly, you got to have a way to get rid of cards that have barrier, whether it's single removal or, again, in this case, kind of like an AoE or multiple battle card removal, must have, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you lose to just one card that has barrier and you have no way of getting rid of it in your deck. So there you guys go. So it's 4 of the main things. Maybe it's 5 because this is, again, like a 2-in-1. But there you guys go. As long as this is equal across all colors, I feel strongly that all colors are pretty much equal with their own mechanics, of course. I don't have any, what is it called? Blue cards here, but that's fine. Blue has a lot of, you know, energy manipulation and, of course, a lot of counterplay, negates, and stuff like that. But finally, when you build a deck, take a look at these categories, guys. If you want your deck to be more tuned and powerful, you're going to need these tools in your brew. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget, keep your faith safe, pray, spread that love, be positive, be thankful, and we'll be coming back at you. Peace.